As we sit here in the Midlands, let's get Midlands Connect's view. Please welcome to the stage Maria Machancoses.
Thank you so much, everybody. I am so pleased to have everybody here in the Midlands, and hopefully you have experienced the network as you approach the Midlands and got a lot of statements of the reality out there. Make me please start by saying we are not here just to talk about transport. I'm delighted to hear already from the audience that this is really about supporting Britain in a new world and actually supporting our businesses here in Britain to relate to the world that we've got the best infrastructure, the best connectivity to trade, not only with the world, but also within Britain, which is extremely important for us all in the next few years. So Midlands Connect, and the context is where it's set up, is about powering the Midlands engine, and the Midlands engine is saying we're powering the Midlands engine, we're powering the UK because we realize our strong assets here in the Midlands in terms of advanced manufacturing, in terms of the role we have to play, and we're really keen to work with other parts of the UK and with government to ensure that our infrastructure is fit for the future. And we're not talking about 5 years, we are talking about 20, 50 years' time. So let's all celebrate, and we are really proud of our central location. That's probably our USP. No matter where you are in the United Kingdom, no matter who you trade with, you have to cross the Midlands. And we have got a very important asset for all of you. And we need to make sure that that asset serves the purpose not only of the United Kingdom, but also of our businesses here in the Midlands. So we got two amazing airports, one that has got huge capacity to grow in terms of passenger, but we also got the second largest freight airport in the East Midlands, really important. And these are assets that are growing because, again, the type of businesses that are flourishing here do require a lot of freight movement, and also cities that are flourishing and are really eager to grow. And it's this whole agenda around rebalancing the economy and not relying all the time on London, which is a phenomenal, great city, but we need to allow our cities to also become successful and our businesses to want people to live and flourish here in the Midlands too. Now, we are home to the Golden Triangle, and as I said, we do hold the largest distribution centres here in the Midlands. We also have, the largest sort of infrastructure allowing for rail freight to come here in the Midlands. So let's not ignore that. So if we look at that map up there, you could tell that in terms of a strategic infrastructure, we are very privileged to have a huge amount of it, not only from the road perspective, but from a rail perspective. And very quickly you realize that all those colors are leading north-south. And as good as they are, they're already reaching capacity. And what they're telling us very quickly is that they could also become a barrier between the east and the west of the country. So we either become a bypass, because they work really efficiently, or that we actually become completely divided because they really do act as about the way our businesses communicate with each other here in the Midlands. Now, Midlands Connect, as a partnership, I thought you would welcome some kind of introduction, does bring 28 authorities and 10 local enterprise partnerships together. We actually go from Lincolnshire to the Marches down to Worcestershire, and we do also touch, in some way, parts of the economic heartland. And this is part of that collaboration and the political, and actually acknowledging that boundaries are not really sometimes that important, but it's about how businesses and the local communities feel about working with one another. Now, more than ever, our leaders have told us that we need to stop coming out with a long list of schemes, that when there's no rationale of why we need them and when we need them. So very quickly, we felt that we were not doing a very good case or a very good job in saying to government and to bodies like Highways England, what is it that we need in the future? And most importantly, we were not very good at articulating the connection and integration and the role that other roads have in making that strategic network operate efficiently too. And therefore that investment on the perhaps lower tier level, which is what the report says today, is equally important. And for the Midlands, believe you me, we know there's no more room, there's no more lanes that we can add to the M6. We need to think differently. So therefore the report today shows that we need to reach out to the other parts of the network, and we also need to think about how it all links with the railways. And we cannot do this just looking at roads. We need to think about how we can get more people into the public transport in terms of the railways. And that's why HS2 is extremely important for us, because HS2 enables us to rethink what the release capacity on the conventional rail network can mean in terms of providing new connections for businesses and people, and therefore getting more people on the railway and not so much on the road, and leaving the road to serve its purpose for what they're there for. Now, we've done a lot of work so far. We started in early 2015, so please do visit our website. We are very eager to come out with good evidence. We know and we must know what's happening out there, what's the evidence, what businesses are telling us, most importantly, and how we actually link with one another. It's not good saying we just want better east-west connectivity. What's the rationale for it? What's the demand? Is it just because our cities want to talk to other? Is it because of the type of sectors that are based in that particular part of the world? So we need to have the evidence to be able to articulate and influence future investment programs. Now, we've done a huge analysis on where growth is planned in the Midlands, and I'm talking about growth of significant importance. And by that, I mean of significant importance not only in the Midlands, but to the UK as well, because there's a supply chain element, because there's an international element in terms of the position of those strategic sites in the world. And having done that exercise, we associated it with our strategic roads and rail networks. And you can see, all of a sudden, we came across a web of corridors, and this is probably what economic heartland is at the moment, that actually identify a number of corridors that didn't rely actually solely on the strategic road network. It started to flag up areas where we needed to start thinking about a new role for A roads, for B roads, and how, rather than just looking at it from a local authority perspective, by joining them up will become a more powerful argument, a much better offer to give to businesses and communities out there. So the Midlands Connect program does touch on roads, but we have identified a number of work streams that we feel particularly interested in spelling out with more evidence and clarity. Obviously, HS2 is huge for us. I cannot emphasize we will have four stations serving the Midlands, and how we connect the Midlands to it, but most importantly, how do we make most of that release capacity is going to be extremely important. We're looking at those corridors and hubs, and we're identifying, as I said, what's the perception from businesses, what businesses are telling us is not working from them, and actually, what's the role of the digital agenda along those corridors in light of the assets that are there already. Now, freight is a very interesting debate, and I don't know how the report, maybe that's something that we would like to work further with you in terms of how we give particular attention to freight. Let's be clear here, because of the nature of our businesses, and when you look at their freight, is extremely important for our economy. So at the moment, we're looking at roads and vehicles and talking about it in a more general terms. We seriously need to liaise with the freight industry and understand what barriers they're facing already and what's their role in them in helping us make those networks operate more efficiently. So it's not about us building concrete, it's about also the way they operate their systems, the way they use technology to move goods around, and so on. So we do need to do things much different. And then also the whole idea of international gateways, and we do need to give a lot of importance to our regional airports. We have heard the announcement on the southeast, but obviously we still think there's a huge potential for our airports moving forward, and connectivity to airports by roads is still extremely important. So all of this together is what the Midlands Connect program will be looking for and will be delivering in the next forthcoming months. Our emerging strategy is coming up shortly, hopefully in the next 10 days or so, but so far we already produced a Picking Up the Pace report, and if I give you the context of Sir Peter Hendy in the railways, where they say, we're not planning well enough, and when we do things, we're not delivering them fast enough or in a way that it's in an efficient manner. We would like to do the same with the roads, and that's when the relationship between some national transport bodies and Highways England and the accountability and the idea of we need to start planning for the future in a much better way, because we cannot be always always having another Henry review in 10 years' time, it's really, really important for us. So, as I said, the timescales are there. We are about to publish the emerging strategy. That will it will give you an idea of where we are at the moment in the process, but ultimately we will produce the final transport strategy in March this year. And as Economic Heartland, we are also on ongoing dialogue with the department, because we do believe the introduction of some national transport bodies is a good thing. Our leaders are really keen to explore that, and we're just exploring it. We don't know yet what powers, but we're exploring the benefits of it. And I'll just say it really is important that we acknowledge, as I said, the USP of the Midlands and our relationship to the north, our relationship to Wales, southeast and southwest. And that kind of narrative and that rationale has been done before at such scale, and collaboration is extremely important. Finally, I thought this would be a good example of one of the elements that we're doing at the moment. We have actually commissioned just Highways England to help us with what we call the Midlands Road Hub. And we do not have at the moment any studies by the National Infrastructure Commission, but we were determined to test the waters in terms of how will some national transport body will work with agencies like Highways England. If we were to commission them, how can we challenge them in terms of what they actually deliver, what timeframes they are proposing for the delivery, how much funding they're saying is going to cost. So how, as a collaborative partnership, how we can challenge that and start to put, sound foundations in terms of accountability. What happens if they don't deliver in time when we thought and we agree that they had to do that? And this is all around the Birmingham box area, if you remember. But if you look at this map, actually, you can see that this is not at all about the strategic road network. This is showing that we can no longer, as I said, keep putting more lanes on our strategic rail network, particularly in this part of the world. So we do need to look at the wider network and what do we do with it. So what next? We are seriously talking about producing digital business case. We are exploring new ways of providing information to the public. We will be publishing the final strategy in March. And beyond that, we have already received 12 million from the Secretary of State to continue our work. That was announced at the party conference. We are waiting with eager from the autumn statement. And we are waiting with eager. Believe me, this is not just about getting money to keep us going. It's extremely important to give us, as you highlighted earlier, to develop schemes and have a conveyor belt of activity, certainty in policy and deliverability, which is what businesses at the moment need most.